Kevin Carney here with GameDemo.com reviewing Air Traffic Chaos for the Nintendo DS. Here's some pros and cons. We'll talk later on about the game, but just cut to the chase. GameDemo.com's take. It's definitely a game worth adding to your Nintendo DS collection. I'm a pilot and I'm pretty impressed with it. I'm going to be shooting this in high def. In order to make the screens fit a little bit, I'm going to put them side by side here. At the beginning of the game, you get menus to select from. Here's the ATC library, just to go over some terminology. Talks about various things. Here's one thing that it does mention that bothers me later on in the game. Here we go. Go around. If you notice there, it says go around. Later on in the game, when you're actually playing it, it calls it repeat landing, which actually is confusing in the beginning because you're thinking that you're going to repeat the landing instructions. But no, they are talking about a go around, which confuses me why they have it there and not in the actual game. But moving on, selecting an airport. These are all airports over there in Japan. And you get to select between 1 or 5. Each of them have different runways, different difficulty levels, if you will. And once you select your airport, we'll start out with the first one here. There's 3 different difficulty settings. You can set it, or actually you start out in rookie and then you eventually make your way up. Here's what the actual gameplay screen looks like. The sort of action is on the left or top, and then you're able to select the instructions and tell the aircraft what to do on the right side of the screen, or actually the bottom part of the DS. There's a arrival and a departure side. The arrival side, you can tell aircraft what way to land. Now here's a scenario that sort of bugs me. There's only one pattern altitude or hoarding altitude, and right there you tend to get a lot of mid-air collisions there, so you have to watch that as the arrivals come in. You select the runway that you want to use for landing, and then the aircraft has to fly around in a pattern. Then it hits key trigger points, and you have to be ready for it at that trigger point to tell it to quit or land. You can tell the aircraft to low or high speed. I've had aircraft be in the pattern and have one going slow and then the one behind it going fast, and they drive over one another and you get a mid-air, lose the game. So I just cleared that one to land. There's one touching down. Another thing about the game that I wish you were able to choose more than one taxiway. They all go off on the same taxiway. I guess it adds to the bottleneck / puzzle part of the game, but it would be nice to be able to have multiple taxiways. That would definitely increase the whatever you want to call it, dramaticness of the game. Another one touching down. You can tell that I have a gate space available, so no big issue there. But eventually you do run out of gate spaces, and you got to try to figure out where you want to put the aircraft. So I tell that one to taxi right in. I don't suffer any delay and don't lose any additional points. Another issue that I have, the wind doesn't seem to make a difference in terms of aircraft performance. I'm not sure if it makes a difference in terms of points. I can't figure that out. But in terms of aircraft performance, doesn't seem to, you could take off with a strong tailwind, which in real life you would never do. But it doesn't seem, there's no running off the end of the runway or anything. All right, you get the idea how to use the menus. Now just zoom into the action here. Here comes an arrival. One of my guys landing. Obviously I'm going to, there's all the gate spaces are full. There's one pushing back. Actually, you can't really see it too well there, but there's a little tug that actually pushes the aircraft back. It's kind of cool. And then it pulls away. There you can see a little bit. And it's pulling away. Another neat thing about the game is there's a delay from the time you issue the command till the time the aircraft actually responds. And also, when you're issuing a command, you can't issue another command if you're on the same frequency. In other words, a tower control, you have to wait until you finish the command you're issuing before you can issue a new one. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm waiting for that guy to start rolling out here. the guy taxiing out to the runway. Come on. Go. 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 There he goes. Alright, now I can tell the other guy to taxi into the gate. Alright, so you get the general idea here. I'm going to pick up the pace just to show you how dramatic it gets. This is fast forward. It's not the actual game, doesn't play this fast. I'm just fast forwarding through all this. Alright, here we go. Alright, now what I screwed up is I issued a pushback clearance to one aircraft and a taxi clearance to another, and that guy is actually going to taxi up and into the back of the other aircraft. Needless to say, that's not good. In real life, you know, would I taxi into the back of another aircraft because the controller told me to do it? Probably not. But anyway, ground collision, too bad, so sad. Game over. It pumps out your score, but you just get denied getting access to the next level. And while the game gives me a C, I would give the game a B, maybe even a B+, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. But I would love to see a multiplayer aspect to this game, and that brings us to a GameDemo.com design idea. Using the Nintendo DS syncing ability, you'll be able to sync up 4 DS's, approach control tower, and ramp. Be able to send aircraft between the two as they come in from an approach controller tower, and then finally have them taxi into the gate at the ramp. Be able to have multiple altitudes for the approach controller to hold aircraft, multiple runways for the tower controllers so that they can have landing and taking off, multiple taxiways so that the ground controller can send them into the ramp. Adding a commercial and GA aspect as well. Then also add the fuel critical so that aircraft aren't out there holding forever. And finally, make that wind actually mean something. And that concludes GameDemo.com's review of Air Traffic Chaos for the Nintendo DS.